We'll just go ahead and welcome everybody and open up this special listening session of the SRJC Board of Trustees. I'll start with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we gather at Santa Rosa Junior College on the territorial traditional land of the Pomo people in Santa Rosa and the Coast Miwok people in Petaluma, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. I'm going to turn the meeting over for a brief introduction from President Chong.
Thank you, President Battenfeld, and I want to welcome everybody here this afternoon to talk about and discuss and listen to you about police matters. And just to frame the conversation or the listening session, I just want to make some distinctions and definitions of what we're talking about. And we're talking about two areas of Santa Rosa Junior College. The first one is the Santa Rosa Junior College District Police. And they are a police department that was established in 1959 as a small department, and it grew to its current status today. Of the current SRJC district police officers, 7 are SRJC graduates and former cadets who are trained at the Public Safety Training Center. So the police department also operates a police cadet program, which is a paid internship where students earn work experience credit while being mentored and trained by our own peace officers. The cadet program is entirely separate from the Public Safety Training Center Basic Police Academy recruits. The cadet program currently has 9 students, and over the years have trained hundreds. Many of these cadets who are trained at SRJC's principles of service and respect often go on to work in professionals in Marin, Sonoma, Lake, and Mendocino counties. And currently the police department police chief is Chief Brownlee, who's here today. The other area we're going to be discussing is a instructional department, the public police department, the training department for the police. And that is an instructional department known as the SRJC Public Safety Training Center Basic Police Academy. And the Police Academy was established in 1958, and it's guided by the California Peace Officer Standards and Training, also known as POST requirements, as well as the Public Safety Training Center's Principles of Respect-Based Service. Currently, the Police Academy has 3 academies a year with about 45 students per academy. Most of the students in the program are sent from various Northern California police departments, and though some are self-sponsored. Because our academy graduates go on to work at agencies throughout Northern California and beyond, it provides SRJC a unique opportunity to ensure that these future officers are trained in the values of our college, holds near and dear such principles as anti-racism, anti-discrimination, and equity. And finally, I'd like to say that this is a very important discussion, is a very important topic. It's something that isn't just SRJC specific. These conversations and listening sessions are going on throughout the county, the city, and throughout the country. And I come to you today with an open heart and an open mind. And I promise you, and I'm committed to developing the best practices that we can for both our Public Safety Training Center and our SRJC Police. So with that, I'd like to introduce and welcome Lasana Hotep, who will be moderating today. And Lasana, we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to help us with this important ongoing work around DEI work and anti-racism. You have been with us, you know us, and I appreciate you taking on the task of facilitation. So I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, President Chong. Thank you very much to the Board of Trustees and the Cabinet and all of the faculty, staff, students, and community that are in attendance for this very important and vital conversation and listening session, I should say, around policing and the Police Academy. I'm honored to be invited to facilitate this listening session and to re-engage the community once again around this topic. I just wanted to open up. You all had shared my email address with the campus when you notified them that this listening session would be taking place. And I received a couple of messages. One I received earlier in the day and one I received right before I logged on. So I'm going to read one that is choosing to be anonymous. And the statement says, greetings to the Sonoma County Junior College District Board of Trustees. The district's stance is that California policing is a model for the country. The district also believes that SRJC police and police training programs are models for California public safety. SRJC police have demonstrated their commitment to diversity by supporting DACA students and developing relationships with formerly incarcerated students through car shows. However, the Black African-American members of the district provide a different story regarding their interactions with SRJC police. Black African-American members of the district have stories of harassment that created a culture of fear, mistrust, and stress. Keep in mind, stories of harassment against Black and African-Americans from SRJC police and police throughout California are not a new phenomenon. Stories of a model California and SRJC policing are intertwined with stories of harassment and killings of Black and African-American citizens. Disassociating negative actions of policing only furthers the systemic disregard of Black African-American experiences. Keep in mind, all actions that support diversity are not equal. Unlike DACA, support of Black African-Americans is not legislated into law or public policy. Unlike formerly incarcerated students, support of Black African-Americans does not provide the district with a financial boost. Support for African-Americans is reliant on altruistic empathy and care of community leaders. The real question for today is, who is right? Is the district's stance regarding police and public safety correct? Do the stories from the members of the African-American community portray the real story of police and public safety? Let's take a radical stance and say that both perspectives are accurate. If this is the case, how do we do better? The district states that it wants to do better. The Board of Trustees want to do better. Dr. Chong wants to do better. This is how you do better. Do better by reimagining public safety and policing at SRJC. Do better by implementing innovative reforms. Do better by implementing innovative forms of public safety that do not include armed policing, thus embracing your image of being a model for the state. Do better by pausing the fortification of SRJC police until you have an actionable plan for a reimagined public safety department at SRJC. This is your moment to hold yourselves accountable. Show that you are actively listening and do better. So that is an anonymous message that I sent, that was sent to me. Let me see, there's another one. One second, please. As I received one just a minute ago. I might be able to access it better from my phone. This is pretty lengthy as well. All right. This one reads, my name is, I guess the person wants me to share their name and have their name on here. My name is Richard Ortiz, and I am a retired federal and Sonoma County probation officer. I also worked as a probation officer in Sacramento County, total service over 40 years. I now serve as a Sonoma County community volunteer. One of the programs I volunteer for is the Santa Rosa Junior College Second Chance program. I have been a volunteer for Second Chance for over 7 years. I am the Second Chance expungement coach and at times support students to navigate life's challenges. Thank you all for being here to express your views on police reform. Every civil rights movement has a history. I lived through civil rights and Chicano movement, both of which reminds me of the same degree, some degree of today's movement. The biggest difference today is that I have a greater hope that, as a singer Sam Cooke saying, a change is gonna come. It's sad for me to say that many times real and long-term change only occurs when someone or the society has hit rock bottom and there is no place else to go but up. I come from a justice-impacted family and have seen both sides of the challenges. Wisdom comes on an individual basis from life experiences, especially adversity. I am praying that a community and country, we have felt the pain and suffering of those whose lives were taken, so we can move forward in unity, accepting the truth of what brought us to this point. Change cannot occur if a person or society does not accept the reality of our past and see the capacity in each one of us for positive change. I believe, as did George Thomas, PhD of verbal judo, the gentle art of persuasion, that the most powerful word in the English language is empathy. He writes in his book, empathy is a quality of standing in another's shoes and understanding where he is coming from. Empathy absorbs tension. Many years ago, verbal judo was part of the curriculum in law enforcement academies. Today's de-escalation instruction, in my opinion, are far more effective. Most effective in communication is self-respect, respect for others, compassion, and of course, empathy. We aren't born with these skills. They are learned through our life experiences. The best way, in my opinion, to learn these characteristics is by understanding the population one is serving. I like to end my sharing the story of SRJC's Second Chance program and how they are making a difference by reaching out to community and each other in hopes of affecting positive change. Second Chance has been very impactful in helping many students change their lives. There are many reasons this program is effective in genuinely making a difference, including students accepting one another without judgment. The life journey they took is hard to comprehend, and unless one has walked in their shoes, took the time to learn about their journey, have a heart that is compassionate, and are able to show humanity. Many people view justice impacted persons as one-dimensional. That is, they don't look beyond their felony. They see their past, not what is possible in the human capacity to move forward to a productive life. A large percentage of the Second Chance group members are straight A students. Many have transferred to universities and are excelling in school and life. These students have been beyond their history, have seen beyond their history and tapped into their God-given potential. Success is contagious, and thus when participants are doing well, their achievements help one another grow, increase overall motivation to succeed. Second Chance members' dynamics is powerful in encouraging others to do as others have done. Don't give up, try hard. You're not alone, we're with you. These and other characteristics are necessary to succeed and guide moving forward. Second Chance students are encouraged to serve the community. Many of the students support one another. They connect in any way they can, from just listening to one another, giving someone a ride, giving another student through a university admission application, or simply checking in. In essence, students support one another in times of personal challenges. Some students have recently started to begin to mentor youth from juvenile jail, SB 823. There are and have been juvenile hall residents attend Second Chance meetings on Zoom, including one former resident who will attend next semester. The students are also very active in volunteering to speak at schools, juvenile hall, and community events in general. I dream that someday our community or universe will replicate the spirit of the Second Chance students and how they treat each other through unconditional love, compassion, empathy, caring, respect. Respectfully submitted, Richard Ortiz. That was the second community letter. This is the letter that I received right before the start of this meeting. Greetings, Sonoma County Junior College District Board of Trustees and district community. We, the Black Leadership Association Collective, Black, and the Black Student Union are writing in response to President Chong's listening session scheduled for Thursday, March 20th. We object to the administration continuing with this event. As we have stated repeatedly, we refuse to participate in any more listening sessions without actionable plans. Over the last year, in response to Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and countless other police murders, Black and BSU have made demands, spoken at various committee meetings and councils. Yet instead of a commitment to transformational anti-racist change, we have only received performative statements that are not followed by concrete actions. Beyond performative statements, our college leadership has failed to listen to Black voices and has therefore failed to respond to the crisis of anti-Blackness on campus. We have been clear about our demands, our needs, and the workplace danger that we face in the district every day. Here is a list of opportunities our administration has already had to listen to our voices. And then they have bullet points. These are all bullet points I'm listing. Presented with BSU demands, presented with Black demands. Numerous DL staff, all emails about the Black experience on campus. June 6th march on SRJC, the largest march of Black people in Sonoma County history. Countless department visits. 2 meetings in preparation for Lasana's professional development session. PDA session with Lasana Town Hall. Community conversation with Lasana about race and climate at SRJC. Black History Month, Creating Black Equity event, Beyond Solidarity event. District Attorney Ravitch listening sessions with BSU. Listening session between BSU and District Police moderated by Lasana. Umoja supported meetings during spring PDA. 2 meetings with AFA. Academic Senate listening session with the BSU. On April 28th, the longest open comment period in recent Academic Senate history, speaking out for Black students, staff, and faculty. Blackout walkout on June 5th. Several meetings between Black and Cabinet about Black demands. Several listening sessions with BSU and Cabinet about BSU demands. Direct emails from Black to SRJC leadership voicing concerns. Let us be clear. We are not opting out of the work. We are opting out of the performative listening sessions. We have invested and continue to invest time and emotional energy that we are not being compensated for because we believe in the work. It is apparent to us that this is a checkbox approach, and we are exhausted by an administration that likes to say Black Lives Matter without tangible actions towards policy changes that ensure that Black lives really matter in our district and in our country. In response to today's specific agenda item of campus policing in the police academy at SRJC, the district stance is that California policing is a model for the country. The district also believes that SRJC police and police training programs are models for California public safety. SRJC police have demonstrated their commitment to diversity by supporting the DACA students in developing relationships with formerly incarcerated students. Do better by reimagining public safety in policing at SRJC. Do better by implementing innovative forms of public safety that do not include armed policing. Do better by pausing the fortification of SRJC policing until you have actionable plan. This is your moment to hold yourselves accountable, show that you're actively listening by, and then they have a list of 3 things. 1, pausing the fortification of SRJC policing until you have an actionable plan for reimagining public safety. 2, moving forward with the formation of additional shared governance body grounded in justice, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility by meeting with leaders of the various affinity groups ASAP. 3, declare a failed search for the Vice President of Human Resources and restart the recruitment process to include a diverse pool of applicants with demonstrable experience in managing and leading transformative change. That is the statement from Black. So those are the 3 statements that I received, and that one I received right when this meeting started. So I hadn't read it. That was my first time reading.
Hassan, just to get back on the scheduled agenda. So I think we'd like to do introductions at this point.
No problem.
Starting with our Board of Trustees.
Okay, I'm going to start as president of the board. I just wanted to, for people who don't know us, I thought it would be important for us all to briefly introduce ourselves. I'm Dorothy Battenfeld. I've been a trustee since 2014. I represent the Santa Rosa Rohnert Park Area 345, and I'm currently serving as board president. I'm glad that everybody's here for the listening session. I think it's an important part of our process. As a board, we have passed several resolutions in the past year, affirming our commitment to greater equity, to anti-racism, in solidarity with Asian American Pacific Islander communities, and with Black African American communities, supporting environmental sustainability as a social justice and equity issue. In June, we're going to be bringing forward a resolution from the Community College League of California affirming the board's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Part of these resolutions do commit the board to follow up with actionable policies and to provide resources to support implementation for needed change. And one key area that has been emphasized in our resolutions and in demands from college groups, including the Black Leadership Association Collective and BSU, is to review our law enforcement training and curriculum and to review the structure of the SRJC Police Department. So we're holding this listening session today so that we can hear from more members of the community on these issues. We really need people's experiences, views, suggestions as part of our shared work in moving forward. And as I said, developing actionable policies, procedures, bringing forward. And I really look forward to being able to bring forward some proposals and programs to the board as a result of listening sessions like this and the follow-up work that we're going to need to do. So I'm going to call on each of the board members to, again, briefly introduce themselves so everyone knows who we are, starting with Board Vice President Mariana Martinez.
Hi, I'm Mariana Martinez. I am the Vice President. I was elected in 2016 and re-elected in 2020. And I also am District 345, so San Rosa and Warner Park. And back to you, Dorothy.
And then Board Clerk Caroline Banuelos.
Yes, I'm Caroline Banuelos. I'm newly elected. I've only been on the board for 5 months. I was elected in November 2020. And I just say that I do come with a background in police reform, law enforcement reform, having served as the chair of the Community and Local Law Enforcement Task Force for the Board of Supervisors after the killing of Andy Lopez. So I come here today trying to catch up with what has been done at the junior college, but also looking forward to hearing and actually working on some of these issues and being very open to what the community has to say. Thank you.
Trustee Burns.
Good afternoon. As President Battenfeld said, my name is Jordan Burns. I am a trustee from the West County area, so Area 7, which basically is the northwestern part of Santa Rosa and west of that. I'm very happy to be here today, and this is a great listening session that as a lot of, there's a lot of background work being done that I'm aware of in committees and other groups on campus, but as board members, we're not always in the day and day information on campus. So it's always good with any topic, especially a topic as important as this, to get updates. And that's what we're really looking for today, is getting an update on what we've done so far, what we're looking for in the future, and then also listening, just listening to the community as far as what needs to change and what they would like to see change. So I'm looking forward to this, and thank you again for everybody being here.
Trustee Fishman.
Hi, I'm Trustee Maggie Fishman, and I represent the 2nd District, which is a portion of Cotati, all of Petaluma, and in the unincorporated Sonoma County area in the South County, and a small portion of Marin County as well. I've been on the board since 2014. I have served as, I'm a past board chair, a clerk, and a recorder, I guess is the other job. I'm also involved at a statewide level on DEIA issues related to professional development, and that transcends to all employees, including our police departments. And I'm an advocate for mandatory DEIA training, such as we have for sexual harassment training. And I look at this listening session as community outreach as well as just listening. So I'm looking forward to and anxious to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
Trustee Kunde.
Hi, I'm Jeff Cundy. I represent the Southeast Sonoma Valley and over to the other side, Petaluma Hill Road. Anyway, I've been a board member now for 15 years and held all the offices, been on numerous committees, and I look forward to hearing what people have to say today from the community.
And Trustee Lindley?
Thank you. I'm Terry Lindley. I represent Northern Sonoma County, and I've been on the Board of Trustees for over 24 years now, and have served in many different positions. And I really do look forward to this listening session today, and hope everything comes out well, and looking forward to it. So thank you.
Student Trustee Toscano, is Jocelyn here? Doesn't. All right, well, she comes later. She can introduce herself. And then I think we have several members of the staff who are going to introduce themselves.
Yes, I'm going to ask our vice presidents to introduce themselves, Pedro, Jane, Kate, and Sarah is our interim, and also Josh Adams, and who is the Dean over Public Safety Training Center, and Robert Brownlee, our chief. Please, in that order.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Kate Jolly. I'm the Vice President of Finance and Administrative Services, and the SRJC District Police Department is in my unit. So I am here this afternoon to listen openly and learn. I'm grateful for everyone being here to share your thoughts and feelings on this topic.
Let's go on.
Good evening.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, good evening. Sarah Hopkins, Interim Vice President of Human Resources, and I have been with the college for 28 years. I've been an implementer of DEI activities at the district, and I'm looking forward to being a part of continuing putting our words into action as a result of this listening session. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Jane Saldana-Talley. I'm the Vice President for Academic Affairs. I oversee the programs at the Public Safety Training Center. I have in past roles been responsible for overseeing college police in a role outside of California. I am currently representing the chief instructional officers around the state on a chancellor's office task force on campus policing reform. We've had 2 meetings this year, and there are 2 other meetings that are scheduled, one in September and one at the end of next fall semester with a report. And I too am here listening, and very interested in the input from all of you. Thank you for this attendance. It's impressive, and I'm here to learn from our college community. Thank you. Pedro?
And good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Pedro Avila, I'm your Vice President of Student Services. And I'm here to listen, I'm here to learn, and I'm ready to take action. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Josh Adams, the Dean of Scheduling, Curriculum, Older Adults, and the Public Safety Training Center. I want to thank everyone here this afternoon for their thoughts and comments. On behalf of the leadership team at Public Safety Training Center, which includes our Police Academy Director, Laney Brown, Police Academy Coordinator, Steve Potter, In-Service and Corrections, Associate Dean Cherise Arnold, Fire Director, Ken Sebastiani, and EMC Director Snow, we acknowledge our impact and responsibility to our students and the communities we serve. We are committed to listening, learning, and always evolving. Thank you. Chief.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Brownlee. I am the Chief of Police. I've had the honor of serving the SRJC district for going on 16 years now, the past 2 as chief. I represent the district police department, and I am also here with an open mind and an open heart. And I thank everyone for attending.
I think
That's
that
one-
does it, Lasana. Back to you.
Yes, sir. So thank you very much for all the introductions. Thank you, Madam President, for leading us this evening. So at this point, we are in full public comments mode. And so if anyone has any public comments they would like to make, we will facilitate that process. And then also, if you have anything that you would like to send directly to me privately in the chat and maintain anonymity, I can read that as well. So we are now open to the public for public comments or statements. Just want to be clear that this is not a question and answer session. So questions will not be answered if you have any questions. This is a listening session from the leadership that's assembled here. But if you have a comment about your experience, if you have a comment about your thoughts and opinions about the particular subject matter today, which is policing as well as the Policing Academy, this is the time to make your comments. You can use the hand raise feature, which is if you click on participants, you can use the hand raise feature. Chat is disabled, but if you have a comment, you can email them to me as well, and you can email them right there in the chat. It tells you the email address. So I'm opening up my email if I have anything that's coming through. I see. Let me see. All right, so I have one. It's a statement and a question. I know you can't answer the question, but I'll read it how it is. I am curious why our PD and Public Training Center have not conducted its own equity analysis and developed recommendations for change. We all need to address anti-Blackness and racism on our campuses. No one is excused from that call to action. To date, I have heard no report out from our police department or Public Training Center. All I have heard is rationalizations and defenses for current practices. At the very least, we should disaggregate the data on PD stops and calls and evaluate how we can respond better to the needs of our college and community. The lack of action on part of our district is appalling. What are you waiting for? So that's a comment that was emailed to me. The other one is a series of questions. It says, I noticed that many times I'm in the DEI training and it doesn't appear that anyone from the college police department are present. Why is that? Is DEI training important to the office, to Officer Brownlee and his program? It is so valuable to do this work together if we're working on campus together. What DEI training does the police department program have? So that's the other I received. And again, I'm checking my email for any other comments or statements. So one thing I like to make sure is that those who are listening and who are in leadership, that the comments that I read earlier to start off and also the comments that are coming in is that you kind of take notes and have some type of plan to debrief. And in that debriefing session, decide what is the response going to be. Communication is very important. Two-way communication is very important in these particular matters, and that a lot of times institutions are listening to the concerns of the community and may be formulating some things or taking some actions, but they may not be communicating and closing that communication loop. And so I just recommend that any actions that are taken or any things that are formulated, that the college find a way in a very broad and far-reaching way to communicate those efforts so that people can be aware of what's taking place if they are misunderstanding or under the impression that nothing is taking place. That's all I received so far, is those two, and then those ones that came right before the meeting. President Battenfield or President Chong, was there any way you would like to proceed, being the fact that these are the few comments that have been shared along with the letters of statement?
I would think that if there are no more questions, that I would ask Lasana, you, if the board has questions, and then maybe we can, if it's appropriate, to try to answer some of the questions that are being raised by the people on the audience, in the audience. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
We do have one person with their hand raised who'd like to make a comment.
Okay, I'm trying to, let me see if I can find that person. It's not showing up on my end.
Tad, here we go, Tad Wakefield.
Okay.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
I just want to express my appreciation for this listening session. I think we, as a SRJC community, probably could use more of them. As my perspective as an African-American faculty member, 15 years here in the district, I think I'll just share a little bit of my own perspective, and that is, I think SRJC is a wonderful place. I think I've enjoyed my time here. I think there has been a lack of empathy as understanding the African-American perspective. And I don't have time to go into all of that, but that's just my opinion. And I think SRJC would do well to encourage the retention of obviously African-American employees. I think we should encourage African-American administrators, go beyond just the correct speak of we are inclusive, welcoming, all the HR lingo that we all know and we can all rattle off, and yet this lack of empathy continues to persist. So I'm not sure what the best way to do that, but I do think that I'm sensitive, obviously, to the needs of African Americans, and I think it's fair to expect SRJC to be increasingly sensitive to their needs. And I'm just speaking African Americans. I'm aware there's a lot of people of color who can feel the same way, but from my perspective, I think that, yes, it needs to go more than just listening, and we see growth and improvement. But I think to continue to retain African-American faculty, there needs to be sensitivity, there needs to be flexibility in whatever that entails. I don't know how everyone feels, but I feel like I've been welcomed. However, I don't think I've been understood completely, but I think SRJC can do more. So I would encourage the board to be open to hearing that. I know this might be specifically for the police department. I've had nothing but wonderful things in my relationship with SRJC police. That's just me. But I think the sensitivity to our African-American employees will go a long way. So I just want to share that. And I appreciate everyone for being here. And as we all have heard and hopefully are understanding, moving, this is the first step of future steps. So I just want to share that, and I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Wakefield, for sharing your personal experience as well as expressing and reiterating the theme of empathy, of a need to have an empathetic approach. And in your particular instance, you're citing that will support in retaining Black talent at SRJC. Anyone else have their hand raised? Anyone else? Any other comments? Checking my email again. All right. No more emails, any more hands raised? All right. So I think President Chong was recommending that some comments be made by the President, Madam President Battenfield.
Since we don't have any more public comment, although if maybe later after the board asks some questions and give some comments, I'm fine opening it up again briefly if there's other people that want to say something. But I think at this point, after public comment, what was scheduled was to have comments and questions from the board. And so now I'm gonna now open it up to board members who either want to ask your own questions, if any of the other questions that were asked by the public are questions that you would also like to ask, or comments. I'll open it up to board members. Trustee Fishman, except you're muted. Oh, there you go.
There I go. Yeah, I have a couple of logistical questions, and I just wondering if someone could give me some clarification. It's noted here that I think a lot of the participants want to listen a little bit to us and what we have to say. And I see that. I want to ask about BCARE, about the process for BCARE and supplementing if the police department gets a call, and it's a call, how logistically, how is the BCARE process embraced? I mean, I don't want to use the word deployed, but how do you get this? How does the police department actually get the help it might need, mental health help it might need for dealing with a situation? How do you access? Do they get a call the same time you get a call? Do you phone? Is the process the same on all 5 sites? Is there a built-in structure to support the police department with the mental health and or with the BCARE program? I was wondering how it worked.
Yeah.
And has it been employed? Have you used it?
I'm going to ask Pedro and Chief Brownlee to respond to that. And for Pedro, maybe you can spell out what BCARE is and the acronym and give some background into how it's deployed. I understand it's a model program at the JC that many other colleges have emulated.
I'm sorry, was Pedro going to take that, or did you want?
Why don't you go ahead, Chief?
Go ahead, Chief.
So BCARE stands for Behavioral consultation, assessment, response, and education. And the team is truly a multidisciplinary team composed of folks from student psych services, health services, student life, student discipline, district police, disability resources. And there's an online reporting tool, and it's there for everyone in our community. A student can report another student, faculty member can report a student likewise. And basically, when that report is sent, there's a core group of the B-Care team that have the ability to formulate an action plan and start doing that. So when the online report is done, an email gets sent to these members, and we immediately start with our assessment of the situation. As a member of the district police, I have access to law enforcement databases, and I could see if there's any type of history, mental health history. I could see if there's a history of violence, a history of substance abuse. And I provide a limited information to the team so that we can collectively look at the situation, what exactly we have, and put the appropriate resource. Most of the calls that we're seeing today are students that are depressed, distressed, and that usually goes to student cycle services and disability resources. In the event that we have a student that we collectively feel that they're a harm to themselves or others, that's where we may have to get involved, and we might have to do what we call a check the welfare. Our officers receive mental health training at the academy level, at the field training level, and we go through a 40-hour course. Now, we're not therapists, and if we have to do a welfare check on someone, we have some tools that we can use to assess the situation. If we have the ability to utilize Sonoma County Mental Health Services, they have a mental support team that responds. And if we can get them in action to address the issue, then we have them make contact with that individual. Where they're in a support, they don't transport someone. So if they place someone on a hold, we would transport them to either their primary care provider or to the county crisis stabilization unit. So we have some resources. The problem with the county resource right now is that they're only available from noon until 8 p.m. and they're only available in a small geographic area, large populated area, but small geographic area of Sonoma County. As you know, Measure O was successfully passed this past year. So the district, the SRJC, we're looking at receiving funds to bolster our mental health services here on campus, which I believe are going to be desperately needed with the incoming students that are coming in from the COVID environment. But the county is also going to have that as well. Likewise, our counterparts in Petaluma and Santa Rosa, they're establishing a CAHOOTS style program. CAHOOTS is a response team based out of work that was done up in Portland. It's starting to become the model across the country where law enforcement responds with mental health professionals, and the mental health professionals are operational. They go in the field and they're there to make that first contact. And you know, that's where we're collectively as a county moving forward as more of these resources become available.
And to add to that, and to answer your question, Trustee Fishman, about how do we provide support across the district? We have three teams. We have a team in Santa Rosa, we have a team on the Petaluma campus, and then we have a district-wide team that is responsible for anything that's happening across the district. And you know, the teams are composed of mostly student services, district police. We have therapists, we have student health services, we have counselors on the team. So these are folks that you know, typically would respond, I think, really well in an environment where, you know, we don't want police to be the first line of response, and they can you know, they're trained to diffuse situations without having to have the police be involved. And you know, I think a perfect example is when we have activities on campus, or sometimes we have, you know, we're an open campus, so we have sometimes visitors that are controversial, and they could create tension on campus. You know, B-Care is our first line out there, making sure that everything is handled with care, and that everyone's, you know, being helpful to each other. So that's where it's worked well. But I do recognize that there's an opportunity to integrate this with our campus police and do a better job. And that's what we're looking forward to doing. We do have new therapists, and I think there's an opportunity to integrate more therapists into the team and also integrate more diversity and do more diversity training, do more cultural competence training. So there's a lot of opportunities, but we do have a good structure and sort of the framework that we can use to build on and create that partnership with our district police.
Trustee Banuelos, and then Trustee Conde after that. You both have your hands up.
Thank you. I had a couple of questions. So first I want to say I went through all of the, like I'm sure everybody else did, the demands and then the responses. And I want to say before I ask my questions that I'm very impressed with the work that has already been done. And I want to acknowledge that a lot of work has been done. And that's important to note here for right now. The one of the things that stood out for me, well, many things did actually, but going to the number 1 demand where it talks about the Black and Ethnic Studies, the creation of a Black and Ethnic Studies department, and the creation of a Black Studies major, which I think is really quite exciting. But one of the things, I went to the Walkout Blackout event on May 5th, and I know I heard more than once, it was stated that certain folks did not know what was happening with this particular demand. That, in the document or the information that were provided, it says, BIPOC people were involved and all of this, which is great, but it was stated more than once at the event on May 5th that, Black people, especially on campus, and I don't know if it was just faculty or who it was, were not involved in that process. And I realize you can't have everybody, or, that it has to be a certain number of people, but it was stated more than once. And, we talk about diversity and equity and inclusion all the time. And inclusion to me can be a lot of things. And you have to make sure, in my view, that you include folks that you may not agree with or may not always be, I don't know, easy to work with maybe. And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying that inclusion means including everyone in the process, in my view. And so that's the one thing that stuck out to me, because we're talking about listening right now. And if we're listening, that would have been heard because it was stated more than once. So I just want to point that out. And then in the area of, and I have a lot of questions, I apologize, but I had a question about Be Care also. So thank you for asking that question, Trustee Fishman. There was mention about the training that police officers get in bias and racial profiling course that they took in January 21st. And all of that training, I'm just wondering, it doesn't say how long it was, how comprehensive it was. That, when I was chairing the task force, that was a big issue in training, was how much bias training do officers or officers in training really get. And then I know in post, there's some requirement every year. And last time we checked, it wasn't very much. And so the response has always been, that's not enough training. And we all know that training can only do so much, but all the same, I really would like to know how much training they actually got and for how long and how comprehensive it was. Then there's some talk about policy, but it doesn't say, it's just sort of broad. It doesn't say what kind of policy. Was it the use of force policy? Was it de-escalation? It doesn't really say, it just says kind of broadly policy. And I glanced at the website for the campus police, and there isn't any policies listed there. One of the issues that has been for the community with both the sheriff's office and SRPD, and probably with the other jurisdictions, is that policies be listed on websites so that people know what they are, particularly the community. And so I didn't see anything there about the use of force, de-escalation, nothing. So I think that's something that we need to look at as a college community. That's just my personal view. Body worn cameras is another area. There has to be a policy around that. I'm sure there is, but again, it's not on the website. We don't know what the rights of individuals are. We don't know what the rights of the officers are. There has to be, because I know when we tried to get it through the sheriff, that there were a lot of issues on both sides. You know, with the privacy of when you go into somebody's home and you're filming them, they need to know about those kinds of things. And again, I'm not saying these things to be critical. I'm just, because I do like that a lot of work has been done, but I think there's so much more that we could be doing in all of these areas. And this is just a small example. And I'll leave it at that right now. Thank you.
So I'll try to answer that. There's a lot there. Again, with the time, I hope this is just the beginning of, more conversations, which I welcome. We need more training. That's my opinion. The training that we received is a 4-hour block. It's the state mandated training, and the best training in the world won't do anything unless that's reinforced, through the department. So we have that training, and what I've tried to do in my tenure here as chief is to kind of reinforce it, especially over this past year. This has been a difficult year for me personally. When I first saw the video of Mr. Floyd being murdered, I was disgusted. I kept saying, get off, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I had to look away at times. And from that point, through this whole, up until now, I still struggle. We like to have this stoic image of who we are, but this has been an anxiety-ridden year, and I've tried to personally challenge myself. And the reason why I'm letting you know this is because I have been transparent with my staff. I have let them know exactly where I stand. I let them know just a few weeks ago that I felt that the Chauvin trial and the verdict that the jury chose of guilt, that was totally justified. That was justice. And they know exactly where I stand. So my point is you have to have training, and we need more. We need to dive deeper. Racial profiling training is kind of like almost common sense now. I'm not saying that it still isn't an issue, but then the next level was, hey, roll out implicit bias. My question is, what's next? And what we're doing here at the campus is what's next. Anti-racist training is next. It's not kind of embraced by the police culture yet. So we need to find a way to package that and get it into our academies, get it approved by post, get it going statewide. That needs to happen. But whatever training, it has to come in, and the culture of the police department has to embrace it and reinforce it. And I'm trying to do that. I have student cadets that are very young, and they're questioning on whether or not to go into this profession, and they should be questioning it. But man, do we need good people right now more than ever, because I think we're always going to have crime, and we're always going to have the need for police. I do believe that. I do believe we have a role, but we're taking on too much. So I'll leave that question. Policy, it should be on our website. Our website, it's been something that I've been needing to get. I'm a small department. We're cops. We're not web designers. And right now we are struggling as a department just to kind of keep people in shifts and trying to provide some level of service to our district. And my staff, they're stepping up, but we're struggling right now. But the website has been on my to-do list for the past couple of years now, and I just need some assistance. I've already talked to Kate. Hopefully we get somebody from IT or get somebody that's a web professional. But The policy's there. It should be on there. It's transparent. I could provide you with a copy of the policy. I'll give you a PDF. I'll give it to everybody on the board. Body worn cameras. Man, that was a big win for us. That was about a year and a half of hard work from me, my IT person that I have internally, some sergeants, some officers doing some legwork, fabulous support from Vice President Jolly to find the grant funding for that, because we know that body worn cameras reduce. There's study after study. They reduce use of force incidents. They reduce use of force incidents because the officer knows that they're being recorded, but the public knows that too, and it tends to kind of make the interaction go better. I want to say something about body worn cameras. They're not security cameras. They're kind of constantly recording, but it's just a minute. Once that minute is gone, it just kind of keeps cycling. The officer has to activate the body worn camera for it to start recording. And there's a reason for that, because we make just kind of consensual encounters all the time, and we do respect people's privacy. If we go to a medical call, there's HIPAA rights that have to come into play. And if we talk to like victims that are juveniles and sexual assault victims, we're not going to be recording those statements. So it's not a security camera always recording, so you do need that human element. But our office, the wonderful thing about body cameras, the union wanted it, the officers wanted it, management wanted it. It's the only issue where everybody's in agreement on. So that was a pretty valuable tool for us to get. So I look forward to having some conversations with you, Trustee Buenuelos, and continue this conversation.
I was wondering, Trustee Banuelos, if I might be able to provide a quick response to your concern about who has been involved in the work around the development of our Black Ethnic Studies department and our programs. I do want to emphasize we had a group of it was a task force for Black and Ethnic Studies task force that brought recommendations forward to our academic senate. Every member of that task force was a member of our BIPOC community, and that was very intentional. I think that the work of moving on and developing the curriculum and hiring faculty and that sort of thing, I think that it has taken us longer to move forward on that. But I just last night sent out a message to our entire college community. I have a group of colleagues, Dr. George Selyu, Professor Lori Kuwabara, Dr. Monica Kubo, and Dr. Brenda Fleisenhawks, who are a selection committee that will help choose from among faculty who stepped up to write curriculum for our kind of the foundational curriculum and to begin that process. And so I think that what I need to own in the work that we're doing is that we haven't moved fast enough. But I join in the comments for Chief Brownlee. We are juggling a lot right now. Just after the pandemic hit, we were dealing with an early retirement incentive program that really reduced the number of managers, reduced the number of just our workforce in general. So I will own the fact that this has not moved along rapidly enough, and that it has left the impression that we are leaving people out of a process that, truth be told, we are just beginning to launch. I'm just going to say publicly that I have no intention of developing curriculum in ethnic studies without representation from all of the affinity groups that we would hope that we would be represented in that program. So it's really important that we begin to work on have we involved them up to this point. I think that we've just been trying to find the space to be able to launch a number of things that we've begun to do. So I will own that we haven't moved rapidly enough in this environment. So and we'll do better with that.
Thank you. Trustee Kundy?
Hi, real quick, I've got a comment, a couple comments, and then I also got a question. First off, my comments, I appreciate everybody coming in with the remarks and comments and things, and it's great to hear. And I really want to do a shout out to Tad Wakefield, that it means a lot, at least for me personally. I can't speak for other trustees, but when a person, discusses to the board and you go on camera and your face is there and we see who you are, and it means a lot. And I know that's difficult to do. And I really take to heart the things you said. And I greatly appreciate what you said. And that means a lot. And I also want to thank other people for your comments. So a question I have, and I'm going to look at this because we've all been, of course, talking about this and what's going on. And this is a question for Chief Bromley. Not trying to put you on the spot, Chief. It's just a question, and I don't know the answer, of course. We're talking from the top down. I want to look at from the bottom up, you might say, just as a question. The cadets, because one thing you said is that struck me is that we need good people out there, the future of the police force, and get the right people and everything. And you guys are doing a great job, and I support it totally. My question is, what is the makeup of the new cadets? How diversified are new cadets today, as far as race and thing and color? And I'm just curious because I haven't been around there. I don't know. So it starts from within, and I just wanted to see what you thought.
So thank you, Trustee Cuddy. So for those that don't know, our student cadets are the very young-looking young men and women patrolling our campus in uniform, and they wear a light blue shirt. They have a duty belt, but it doesn't have any weapons on it. And one of their responsibilities is patrolling the campus on foot, and they do a great job. They make sure that doors are secured. Their primary duties are to observe and report. At the beginning of this semester, I had about 10 or 11 cadets, 9 of which were Latinx, 7 of which were female. So we have a diversity with the Latinx community, and we're seeing that across the board. And I may put Josh Adams on the spot here, but he may be able to give you some idea of the diversification in our training centers right now. But that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing and more women. I've had the honor of hiring 2 female officers, one who is Latinx and is going to be possibly taking over some of the cadet coordinator, one of the mentors of the cadet program. And we try to bring in outside officers. We just had this past semester, we had Rich Ortiz come in and speak to the cadets with a member of the Second Chance Club to provide that experience. Because I don't want my students thinking that every person that commits a crime is a horrible human being. We're seeing people oftentimes at the worst day of their lives, and it doesn't have to be a trend. We need to figure out ways to break those cycles. And another former cadet from many years ago was the former chief of Sebastopol. And he came in and spoke to our cadets. So we try to bring in that experience, and we try to mentor them and bring them up. But that's what we've been seeing in the past 3-4 years is a greater influx of females and Latinx. And we try to be as welcome as we can, but we are not getting African American and other BIPOC. We just aren't. It's a difficult time to reach out to those communities to get them into law enforcement. So, but it's a discussion that's being held at a level larger than mine.
I figured that's what it was, but I was just curious. And as far as the instructors in the center, I mean, the same type of thing, or?
Well, I can confirm our student demographics are about 25 to 35% Latinx. We've got about 2% African American, 2.6% Asian. I had pulled these numbers right before this meeting. Our instructor demographic is not as diverse as we'd like it. We are adding more diverse instructors to our adjunct pool, but we have to grow in order to use new instructors. So that's a challenge. But as more students come in, more recruits come in and graduate that go out into the field that represent the diverse population that we would like to see, and then they have a career and then come back. That's one of our top goals, is to increase our instructor diversity.
And I mean, personally, I think that's very, very important. Very important. You know, start with from within. But anyway, thank you for that.
Other trustees wish to make comments or ask questions? Trustee Fishman.
Hope I'm allowed another one. I wanted to ask about how often the police actually use their weapons, and how often have they had to pull their weapons on campus. I know that the officers have them. I wonder if you could give me, I am personally not, I'm supportive of you keeping weapons, but I think it needs to be looked at and discussed, and I'd like to know how often they are actually used, or what's the history of that. Oh, and then I have a question about data collection, but I'll get to that.
So I haven't really prepared myself for this question and answer, and I was
sorry.
But I could look at that data and get you those. It's a rare occurrence that we use. In my 15 years here, there haven't been an incident where an officer has used a firearm in a line of duty, fired it. You know, there are things like where if it's at night and there's a broken window in a building and there's footprints, when we're trained, when we clear a building and it looks like someone broke into that building, you know, we do use our firearms and we clear the building with firearms. When we had the incident with, thankfully it turned out to be a false incident, but when we got a report of a subject on campus with a gun that was coming to kill a student, you know, we responded with our weapons drawn to, you know, if we had to meet that threat, that we were prepared to meet that threat. So the weapons are used rarely, and I could get you that information.
That's right. Then the follow-up question was about the data collection, that you have a new software program that was going to be here January 1st, and I was wondering what the progress of that.
Yeah, and this was really true. This is kind of like something where it's not just the district police. It's us acting as a greater law enforcement team in the county. So we belong to a technology consortium that basically we pay into to get our report management system, our mobile computers in the vehicles, the computer system there, our dispatching system. That's all provided through this this consortium. We just did a software change, and it gave us the opportunity to go, well, there's this thing called RIPA, which is the Racial Identity Profiling Act. So it's a piece of legislation that was passed many years ago. Larger agencies had to come on, you know, years past. Our turn was next January. And because we were able to work with the software provider and implement it so that the software is on the computers in the vehicles, we've implemented and we've started taking that data. So if an officer makes a traffic stop, they have to pretty much clear that stop, and then they go to the computer and they enter this data, and that data is collected. That data is also uploaded to Department of Justice, and they hold that data and do audits from their end as well.
Trustee Martinez.
Yes, I kind of wanted to follow up with one of the questions, and maybe it was answered and it just went over my head or something. But when we're talking about the data of the actual, you know, student trainees, cadets, what is the actual the breakdown, both gender and race, of the instructors for the academy. And has that changed at all? And I mean, I like the fact that there's the involvement of all within the ethnic studies development, but I also want to make sure how does that trickle into the training and the curriculum? Because I don't know if you all have a separate curriculum, or how does that even work, right? Because your guys' program is an X amount of months, and it's kind of cohort based. So how does that translate into our development of our ethnic studies? So it's like two questions, but the first one is really focused on what is the racial breakdown and gender breakdown of the actual instructors, right? And has that changed at all in your tenure there? And then, you know, I mean, I just want to make sure, like, how does it reflect the actual student body for the training?
So I'm going to turn this over to Josh because this is a question for Josh. I just wanted to clarify that the student cadets that I have, they're basically student interns, and we provide them mentorship. They have a job where they provide security patrol. We do some type of academic-like training because we're trying to prepare them for the academy and for that profession. So our student interns, the cadets, are different than the folks that are going through the police academy. And I'll let Josh answer the question now.
Thanks, Chief. As far as our instructor breakdown, I don't have those exact numbers with me, but I will get those to you immediately as to what our demographics are, and I should be able to show that change over time. As far as our curriculum, we are basically presenters of post curriculum. So post kind of gives us the curriculum and then we present it. We don't own it. We are allowed to add to it, and we do, and it goes through a process of being post approved. One of the things we do, or one of the things we were involved in 2018 is we went through some of the use of force, de-escalation, principled policing in the community, and a couple of other topics that were not mandatory in the past. And we were part of a pilot in 2018 that helped develop this curriculum that is now mandatory across the state. And is it enough? Absolutely not. We want to do more, but we're always trying to expand what we're doing, especially in de-escalation and cultural awareness. One of the ideas that we've been talking about is how do we bring the community into our classroom, and we're going to be bringing in the second chance with Mr. Ortiz is something coming up. But we're looking at doing like a community outreach week. So instead of just bringing people here, maybe going out into the community and doing more of that. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Trustee Burns.
Thank you. Just a few statements, and then I do have a couple questions for the chief. First, I just wanted to say that I support our police department. At the same time, I do support our Black community, and I also support the need for change and reform, not only here locally, but county, state, across the nation, and just the need for change on many levels, not just within the police department, but in anti-racism and inclusivity and everything across the board. All that being said, so one thing that I do want to point out is that we do have a unique, situation here at the JC. Our police department is unique in many senses. And correct me if I'm wrong, but our chief of police reports to Kate Jolly, I believe, and Kate reports to Frank, and Frank reports to the board. So in a sense, we have a chief of police, unlike the county sheriff, unlike the chief of police of the city, that has many layers of quote unquote citizen members that are overseeing the police department, and ultimately an elected board overseeing the police department in general. That gives us an opportunity to be a model in the county, model across in the state. What we do here can be implemented at other police departments. We can show what we want change, and it doesn't just come from within the police department, but it can come from without, from outside of the police department, in the community, in the board members, in directing Frank, directing Kate, and so on. We also have a unique situation in which we have a police academy here at the JC. Josh, I think you're doing an amazing job. The things that I'm seeing happen up there, and the evolution over the years has been amazing as well. We have the ability to, like you mentioned, implement other trainings, creating new trainings on de-escalation and cultural sensitivity and anti-racism, and all kinds of different things that we can implement in our training, and again, be a model to other police academies, and basically training our next generation of the police force. Hopefully, people that look at police in a different way, and can get back to our community policing, and being people that we trust and we don't fear, and all of those. With that being said, I do have a couple of questions, mainly for the chief. You already kind of answered some of them with the police shootings and things like that. So it was my understanding that, I'm not aware of any police shootings on campus, and I don't think that there has been. And if there was, it was way before I think some of our times. I think that that's a great thing. I think that shows. It's not that we're immune to crime and other things on campus. That happens quite frequently, and we're we police basically the whole entire county. We're driving up and down from here to Petaluma, up to our public safety training center, Southwest Center, and here at the Santa Rosa campus. So our police department has a wide range of where we're traveling and what we're looking at, and to be able to say that we haven't had a police shooting is you can't say that with every police department in this county, unfortunately. So that was already cool. But I want to give you an opportunity, Chief, just to kind of give me a little bit of a history of the police department, and what makes our police department unique. In your eyes, what separates it from our city, Santa Rosa Police, and our county sheriff? And really, it's just kind of an open-ended, what do you see this as, what makes us unique?
If I could just interrupt real briefly, Chief Brownlee, before you answer your question, I have a couple questions. I don't know, Trustee Lindley, do you have anything you're going to want to say? You're good. Okay. I do want to, we do have some additional public comment. So I just want to make sure that we start that in about 15 minutes. So just to let people kind of know in timing, so that we can get to the public comment and still end when we told everybody we would end. So thanks, and thanks for letting me interrupt you.
You can interrupt me anytime. I really think that we have embraced the community-oriented policing model. And it started several years ago. And I'm sure there are several people listening to this. If they had an issue with one of my officers, or if they had an issue where they needed my counsel, they would oftentimes send me an email, and normally within a half hour, depending what my schedule was like that day, I was there at their door. That's one of the things that I provide, and it's something of an expectation that I have of all my staff. Not to do things on the phone, not to do things through email, but make that contact. Our officers, they've done safety trainings for DRD students, for the various clubs, for BSU ages ago. And unfortunately, one of the biggest obstacles we've had is COVID. That personalization of our department and being able to just directly go to somebody and discuss the issue and formulate some sort of action plan where we can follow up and do things. And that's an expectation I said that I have for my staff. Fortunately, we're not call to call. And, we monitor Santa Rosa Police Department's calls because we're in their proximity. When we're down in Petaluma, we listen to them because, if they're doing something in or around our campus, we want to know when we're on that campus. And I could tell you, Santa Rosa's, they're going call to call these days. They are very busy. We have a bit of a luxury where we're not going call to call, and we can take the time and try to find that resolution. Our officers, they know our community. They know our homeless community. They know people by name. Dr. Avila, he saw an incident involving some homeless individuals that one was swinging around a baseball bat right outside his office. He happened to capture it on video, and that the one person walked away. And he sent that to us, and I sent it to my sergeant. He said, "Oh, I know who exactly that is. I know where they hang out." And even though there was this altercation, nobody was injured. He was able to mitigate it without making an arrest, where all parties kind of walked away at least, content for that day. And that's kind of the service that we provide. And I'm proud of that. Now, we need to do more. We need to do more. The reason why we're here is because there is that distrust with our BIPOC community, and we need to work harder on that. And it's not going to happen on Zoom. We need to get physically in a room and have these difficult conversations. And hopefully in between some of those difficult conversations, we could just have a conversation where you get to know me, you get to know some of my staff, and I get to know you as a human being, as a person. That's one of the things that I do look forward to. So that's what I think what makes it special. And I'll kind of be quiet now.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I agree with you. I've seen the police department respond to different calls, and I've seen you personally respond to a call. And I'll just I know that we're short on time, but I'll take 1 minute just to chime in on a story that some of you might know, and I don't mean to put you on the spot here, Brownlee, but during the marches last year, right in front of the JC campus, the Black Lives Matter marches, I participated in a couple of them. This one was late at night, and there was a lot of individuals that were arrested right in front of the garage of the JC. And I remember watching on, I think it was a Facebook Live or something like that, video of the marches, a young lady and a few young adults and some children that were with her when they were supposed to be dispersing, and the Santa Rosa Police Department was there. They ran onto the campus. They were hiding in some bushes. And, and I was thinking, oh my God, I hope that, they're okay. And sure enough, Chief Brownlee, you popped in and you saw them, and I was like, oh my God, there's Chief. And rather than, again, what we see as aggressive police officers making arrests and things like that, that was not your reaction at all. You took them out, talked to them. They were worried that they were going to get arrested. Your response was something along the lines of, I'm not going to arrest you. Let's just make sure that you get home safely. And you escorted them over to Elliott. You had them call somebody to come and pick them up. They picked them up, and I believe they made it home safely. And that was what I appreciated watching you, our police department, handle a situation like that. Rather than tell them to put their hands up or any of the stuff that we see that we just is horrific when interacting with people. These were people that were marching. These were people that were standing up for what they believe in, and you didn't squash that. You upheld your values. You modeled what the JC stands for, and I appreciate that in you, and I appreciate you as a person. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I had some questions, but I think I may, just because I want to make sure we get to the public comment, I figure I can ask them later. In general, I just had some questions about, talking about some of the procedures that the police follow, making sure that they're codified in our policies and they're written down. It's more what we talk about, institutional, making sure that things are institutionalized. and that everybody knows what they are and everybody is expected to follow them no matter who they are. I mean, I think that's something that I would like to make sure happens. I'm also just also real interested in whatever you call like prerequisites for who gets into the police academy, if we have any control over, or we can advocate at the state level. I mean, I would really like to see prerequisites for ethnic studies, for psychology, or sociology, English 1A, report writing, communications, and I don't know if we can do those kinds of things, but I think that would be helpful. And what can we do in terms of our hiring and recruitment policy, both in terms of also our instructors? Can we, what do we already have, priority for people who have already had implicit bias and anti-racism training, or who show global awareness, or whatever you want to call it, is that written into some of our hiring? So anyway, those are just some of the things. We don't have time to get a response, but anyway, those are just some of the issues. And also just I'd like to just know more also at some point about the difference between our police officers and what they do, and the CSOs and the dispatchers. And again, maybe you could just send something out so that we have more information. So I want to thank the board for their comments and questions, and I think we can also continue this conversation later, but I'm going to turn it back to Lasana so that he can you can moderate the additional public comment, and we can hear from everybody who wants to be heard.
Thank you very much, Madam President. So there's several comments that's come in since the question and answer period. And thank you for those who engaged in the question and answer period. But I'm going to go through these to the best of my ability in the order in which I received them. So from the earliest 48 minutes ago, all the way to the most recent one received. It says, yes, thank you, Dr. Chong. I would like to hear the Board of Trustees' response to the Black statement at the beginning of this session. These are your Black faculty and staff of the college wanting to hear your response. What are your thoughts as you sit and listen once again to their feelings, experience, and yes, demands? I'm not Black, but I sure do see them, hear them, and feel them. I want to know your response to this statement. So that's one statement. Another statement is, I find the idea of removing firearms from our police department terrifying. With the increase in active shooters and random violence in the country today, it's not a question of if, but when the college will be faced with another active shooter situation. And when that time comes, I want to know that our police department is equipped to protect the college community with adequate staffing of officers available firearms if necessary. It is not fair to lump all police departments together. The SRJC Police Department does not have a history of handling incidents in the same way as the Minneapolis Police Department, and should not be treated like they do. I believe we should be focused on continued anti-racist training and good hiring practices rather than trying to dismantle the department. I do not want to rely on the Santa Rosa Police Department to handle incidents that occur on campus. It will take them longer to respond, and we have no control over their practices. I think we're in a better position with our own police department, trained in a manner which we deem appropriate. I question the efficacy of B-Care around their cultural competency. It's only been recently that 2 therapists of color have been hired. We can't rely on B-Care to address equity issues around mental health. For years, faculty and staff have expressed concerns regarding the safety at the Petaluma campus and other sites away from Santa Rosa. These calls have originated in response to criminal threats and other concerning events on that campus. I have deep empathy for our Black colleagues and students who have expressed legitimate trauma and fear in their encounters with police. And I support the implementation of more comprehensive DEI education in our public safety center. I also think we should seriously explore the option of disarming our district police. However, I'm concerned that the call to halt adequate staffing of our police department, as this will likely impede the effort to ensure all of our campuses are safe for all members of our community. Finally, though I have no experience with district police, and especially our chief, behaving in anything but a respectful and professional manner, I feel that our ability to recruit the most experienced and qualified staff is relative to our ability to offer compensation comparable to other law enforcement agencies in the region. You get what you pay for. Okay, this one is a repeat about the one about finding it terrifying. Transparent communication is key. It would be helpful to publicly know the SRJC Police's position on disarming its officers. Some districts have armed officers, some don't. Some believe that leaving officers unarmed and more vulnerable is a major threat to those officers and the campus. Additionally, some believe that leaving officers armed possesses a major threat to persons of color who are vulnerable. How can these two concerns be reconciled and addressed? What possible balance can be struck that provides both officer campus safety and community member safety? Thoughts? I respect Chief Brownlee, SRJC Police, and SRJC Public Safety Training Center. However, I wish the district and both entities could take a step back and take a real look at this moment. This moment calls for a blank slate. Defensive emails that advocates that both programs are at the top of their fields is not good enough for this moment. It shows you are not listening. If you are truly, they put it in capitals, listening, you will hear. Even the cream of the crop of policing is not good enough. A blank slate. What are the most visionary people saying about campus policing and what it could be? We need more qualified mental health professionals to be the first real line of intervention for our community. It should also be noted that the Be Care team, although I respect those who step up to serve, are not mental health professionals trained to handle the crises they may come up against at SRJC. This is not fair to students, SRJC police, or our faculty or staff. Black has stated they are not participating today because this seems performative. Hiring 2 African-American therapists, bragging and promoting that they were hired publicly, but leaving out that they were hired at 10 hours a week each. This is unacceptable and performative. We need at least 2 permanent full-time African-American therapists, not just a bone thrown to quiet those demanding. If you truly listen, stop the defensive reactions, seek out transformative examples of policing, listen to our community, and reimagine what policing and community service and public safety means at SRJC. I think you will find the answers to what you need to do in this moment. And those who are not ready for this moment, which would be understandable, this is hard. Please step aside and let others step up who are ready for this moment. All right. Here is my question. These are 3 questions. Will someone in college leadership acknowledge the 3 demands from Black that were read at the start of this meeting? What training does Be Cares have in de-escalation as well as in anti-racism and other DEI practices? How will administration be more transparent around decision-making and spending related to campus policing? All right. We need a full-time, permanent, and diverse mental health care professionals, not interns, to work with campus police and especially Be Care team. As much as leadership wants to believe all our services and policies are renowned and sought after by other colleges, it is far from the truth. We have fallen behind. I'm hoping the Board of Trustees and administration will treat this as the crisis it is and as the opportunity to create real change. SRJC needs to meet BSU's and Black's demands. That's all I want to see you do. This person has 2 emails. Is this the same one? Okay, let me see. I am curious why our police department and public training center have not conducted its own equity analysis and developed recommendations for change. I think I've already read that one. To date, I have Heard no report out from PD or public training center. All I have heard is rationalization of defenses for current practices. At the very least, we should disaggregate the data on PD stops and calls and evaluate how we could respond better to the needs of the college community. The lack of action on the part of our district is appalling. What are you waiting for? I have another question. Okay, what personal anti-racism work have our board members, particularly our white members, engaged in? The trustees comment by saying race in things and color indicate it's not enough. Someone put, can the board stop talking during the listening session? The SRJC Police Department may not have a history of murders, but they have a history of harassment of people of color. What is being done to address racial profiling? Many of our Black faculty, staff, and students have consistently shared their personal experiences of being stopped, questioned, and asked for identification to confirm who they are and confirm they work in the building they are entering or the parking lot they are parking in. Racial profiling needs to be addressed in the academy curriculum and police training. Could Chief Rob speak to racial profiling on our campus if it does happen? I appreciate Chief Rob saying we need to do more. Yes, you do. The district needs to support Chief Rob in reimagining the police department and academy. So those are the comments that have come in over the past hour. In these types of listening sessions, I hope that leadership is kind of taking note, identifying themes, and being reflective about what are some substantive responses that that will be necessary. As the moderator, I just wanted to make a couple comments and observations, and I'll turn the floor over to President Battenfield. One is there's a lot of conversation about professional development. One thing about professional development, it requires a sense of vulnerability. It requires a sense of humility, which is the antithesis of the strategic law enforcement officer, right? You don't think of law enforcement officers as vulnerability, you think of them as being strong and strength, right? And that particular position makes one who's under their care feel safe, right? And so it's kind of like a situation where Chief Brownlee made a statement that kind of was a thread between all of the comments and all of the questions and even some of the particulars that was made in the comments, right? So one of the comments said, you cannot judge all police departments. SRJC is not Minneapolis. But Chief Brownlee kind of said a nugget that's key. He said, policing culture is not ready for exit. You see what I'm saying? ... So we have to be cognizant of a few things. One, when we want to disaggregate and say, no, everybody's not the same, either individually or departmental or city or county, right? Or when we say this is the phenomena of the thing, right? And what people are responding to is even if there hasn't been, and thankfully, anyone having to discharge a firearm at SRJC at any of the sites, right? There is a culture. And what people are talking about, right, is what can be done at the culture of policing. And they want to have an answer. What I'm hearing is, what are we doing substantively to reimagine the culture of policing so that it will address these various things, whether it's racial profiling, whether it's feeling like it's not enough diversity in the faculty or instructors, and all these other types of things. And so those are the kinds of things that I'm hearing, is that this culture that ties it together, right? And there's a spectrum within the culture, right? You got the extremely excessive force folks, and then you have the people who are into community policing and bonding and connecting and having those significant social relationships that totally de-escalate situations. But we do admit that there is a particular culture, and Chief Brownlee said it clearly. He said that they ready for this, they ready for this, but policing culture is not ready for so and so and so and so. So we have to be clear on that. Another thing that I'm hearing in a theme is that the community wants to know that its board in that its executive leadership has gone through requisite anti-racism cultural competency trainings, because they are picking up on some themes and some ways of expression that they feel represents some folks who may not be as culturally sensitive as they would like them to be in leadership, right? And so one of the things I found in doing this work across the nation with various groups is that when the leadership shows the vulnerability and subject themselves to the same type of professional development experiences that they have for their middle managers, for their faculty, their professional staff, and other people within the organization, right? And can be transparent. These are the trainings we went through. These are the experiences. These were the deliverables, right? It sets a different kind of tone and also situates the organization in terms of people feeling a sense of sincerity. We as administrators have to definitely do our fiduciary responsibility, which is to maintain our areas of responsibility wherever they are. So we have to do that, right? We have to say, listen, this is where we stand. These are our values. These are the things that we're doing. And we cannot step away from that. What people I'm hearing in SRJC, and especially from some of the testimonials, and especially from the faculty member that expressed himself on camera, is they're not saying that it's the worst place on the planet. I'm not hearing it's the worst. I'm not hearing that no one could ever work or tolerate it. What people are saying is that there's areas for improvement, and to be very honest about the areas of improvement and to be very transparent and vulnerable about those areas of improvement is going to create an experience so that all people feel a part of the community, and so that all people feel like they are engaged and all people feel that they're heard. But if our responses to grievances are, this is how good I'm doing, right? People are saying, well, you're not hearing what I'm saying, because I'm not saying you're not doing those things. You understand? What I'm saying is I need this. And this is just basic communication. If you have a partner, right? You know, somebody says, why aren't you doing so and so and so and so? Well, I took you so and so yesterday. That's not what I brought up. I brought up, why aren't you doing this? Right? And so I think that we have a wonderful opportunity to not miss this moment. I think we have a wonderful opportunity to be responsive as a board. And I think in this particular moment, we have an opportunity for two things: for leadership to lead by example, and for us to really address the role of culture. I did a presentation for all of the CIOs about a month ago. I gave an opening keynote for their conference, and it was called Culture Eats Professional Development for Breakfast. And the reason why I titled it that is because we think we can train and PD our way around policy, practice, procedure, and culture. And I think this is an opportunity for SRGC to really do a self-reflection on culture and really grow from it and build from it.
Thank you for those comments, and thanks for doing the work of moderating the comments, and also your comments at the end that kind of pulled some of it all together. It was really helpful. I really want to thank everybody who participated today, people who shared their experiences, who asked us questions, who shared expertise. I think, you know, we've gotten some important information. We've gotten some important recommendations. Clearly, folks have different concerns and approaches that have been raised today, and also have been raised in other ways and in other forums. I think it is clear that, as everyone said, I want to repeat it, that even though we are doing some things really well, it's not enough. And I think we do need to do more. And I think we need to do more about equity, about anti-racism in the programs that we have, in the services, in the curriculum. And clearly part of that is addressing law enforcement training, and I agree, culture. And in our police department, One thing that I would propose, and I'm open to other options, the board is actually having a priority setting meeting and self-evaluation in June. And I think this is a good opportunity for us, especially as our self-evaluation, to talk about how we want to move forward and what we want to do. But I would like to, one idea is to really ask Dr. Chong to oversee the development of an equity plan that includes some of the topics addressed today around policing, around faculty, around hiring, around related services that we need, such as mental health. I think it's clear if we do decide to work on an equity plan that it needs to have clear goals, it needs to have clear objectives, it needs to have timelines, and it needs to be communicated very clearly to the campus what it is we're doing and what we're going to be working on, and the goals and the deadlines, you know, that we're going to set ourselves about what we want to get done. And I would recommend that clearly this be a priority for the board and direct Dr. Chong to make this a priority for the coming year. Again, we're even though the listening session is over, I want to, you know, we're all public officials, elected officials. People should keep sending us comments, keep asking us questions, keep sending us feedback, keep holding ourselves accountable. The one other thing I did want to mention is because several people mentioned training for the board. And I mentioned earlier, we are bringing forward a DEI resolution that I'm going to ask the board to vote on at our June meeting. And one of the resolutions in it is that the board commit to participating in implicit bias and cultural competency training at a minimum on a biannual basis. And we may even want to change that and make that more often, but I definitely do support that. So I just want to thank everybody again for coming and for participating and for taking the time to do it and for continuing to work on this. So again, thank you, and meeting is adjourned.